Hey guys, well, day one of RailsConf is over, and I thought I would do a little decompress back here in the hotel room and tell you what I learned. I think my voice is a bit raspy. I'll explain that later. But I wanted to go through my quick rundown of day one. And day one started, of course, with breakfast. Man, there's a lot of food at this thing. You know, I'm trying to stick to my 1,500 calories a day, and that's impossible at this conference. Thank you. Tasty. But so had a breakfast and then went right into the first keynote, which was, sorry, that was by, I know it was about StoryGraph, but it was about the co-founder, technical co-founder, Nadia, and from Britain. And she has this very interesting platform about book recommendations and so on, kind of like a better Goodreads. And her talk was about taking that, from a startup all the way up to oodles of users and the technical challenges and all the rest of that comes with it. Which, of course, is something I well know, having done that kind of scale up myself. Yeah, it was a good summary of that, and she was very entertaining, and she was a good speaker. I really liked that. Moved on to the sessions, the main kind of sessions of the day, and I only went to 3 of those, and because there's only so much Ruby on Rails you can take in one day, and so I went to the first one, which was all about making your logs better, and that was by Youssef Boulkaid, and wow, that was a great talk. Like I've said before, this is my first ever conference, certainly my first ever RailsConf, Rails developer conference of any kind. And that was a great first talk, so practical, so actionable, set the bar very high in my opinion. Great work, Youssef. I talked to him afterwards, and he filled in some gaps and some questions I had, but his talk was exactly the thing I was afraid of. I was going to come to this conference and say, oh, I should be doing this and this and this and this. And as I said to somebody, I was afraid of going down that rabbit hole. And yes, it's like coming to a conference on crack cocaine. And his talk was crack cocaine. Couldn't get enough of it. After that, I went to a talk about Async and the Falcon web server by somebody named Manu J, who's, I guess, in the witness protection program, couldn't use his full name. And Manu did another good talk about something I'd never really heard about, which was async with this Falcon web server, which is like a much more performant web server over Puma. It uses fiber. Yeah, really great. Something to look at. Not totally applicable to kind of stuff that we're doing at Zonmaster and other things that I'm doing because we're doing more pure back-end work. But yeah, very interesting for people who need kind of more concurrency in their front ends. And then I think after that was lunch because we needed another 1,500 calories. That was really tasty. In the time waiting for the lunch, I talked to lots of people. I think the order of the day for me was to talk to as many people as possible. And really some interesting people here. After lunch was a talk about plain old Ruby objects by Sweta Sanghavi. And yes, interesting. I'm a big believer in using plain old Ruby objects, Poro, as much as possible. And I've been accused of using them too much, but I put pretty much everything. If it doesn't have to be persisted into the database, I put all my logic into POROs if I can. And so that was a cool talk. Showed me that maybe I'm not doing things so wrong after all. Yeah, pretty cool talk. And then I went and checked into my hotel and stuff like that. And then this lovely hotel that I'm staying at, it's kind of like an apartment. And then it was the keynote, the ending keynote for day one, which was about Ruby on Rails startups. And that was by Irina, what is it? Sorry. Irina, yeah, it is. Irina Nazarova. And that was a very, very interesting talk. For me, I had to rein my emotions in. I was slightly, I won't lie, I was slightly jealous about it. You know, I myself have started, co-founded or founded 7 companies that are being based on Ruby on Rails. Vast majority of those either made me good money or made everybody good money. And some of them have made 7 figures, and one of them had a turnover of 9 figures. So, you know, I've done pretty well with Ruby on Rails. I have this YouTube channel that you guys watch, and hey, thank you to the people that I met today who said hello. You know, but still, I feel like I'm being ignored. I feel like I'm not really taking advantage of that. And then Irina's talk was kind of about highlighting people who were doing this, and I thought, I'm doing this. You know, and her talk about was to talk it up, and I'm like, I'm talking it up. And her talk was about, you know, talk about using Ruby and Rails and AI, and I'm like, I talk about Ruby and Rails and AI and using Ruby as Rails as a front end to Stable Diffusion and interfacing with Olama and things like that. I'm like, I'm doing all the right things, but I'm a little bit ignored. And then it was, you know what, Phil, get over it. I'm not the main character of everybody's story. But yeah, it made me think, maybe I'm not quite doing something right. I really need to up my profile. And I think I am going to try and do something about that, try and get more involved, not just on a technical level, but I think on a organizational level. So we'll see what happens there. And then afterwards, it was off to a interesting bar. To be honest, it wasn't that interesting a bar. It was a bar. And I don't drink anymore. So it was a non-alcoholic beer evening for me. That's why my voice is so shot, because it was really noisy, and I yelled some discussions at people from the conference. So that's that. That's day 1. As you can tell, it was a lot. And tomorrow is kind of the practical day. So there's 2 streams, which is a hack. I would call it a hackathon, but they're not calling it that. But, you know, a hackathon and workshops. And workshops are kind of like a hackathon for people who are antisocial and just want to do it by themselves. So those 2 things are going on tomorrow. And I think I'm going to jump into some of those. But after the talk, talking with some people today, I think I might try and join in on this hackathon, even though, look at me. It's like, oh, granddad's here. You know, so we're going to do that. But I might do that, or I might not, or I might just do what all my business associates tell me to do, and that's go to a hackathon, hear all the great ideas, and then go away and start a business. But anyway, that's that. That's day number 1 of RailsConf 2024. I know in my stupid little intro I said Rails 2004, and that's because that shows where my brain's at. RailsConf 2024, the penultimate RailsConf, as last year will be the will be the last RailsConf. So if you didn't make it to this one and you don't make it to that one, you're out of luck. No more RailsConf. So there we go. See you tomorrow. Like, subscribe, bell notification. I left that little pause in there to see how many people jumped off. Thanks for watching. As always, I'm Phil Smyth. See you soon.